Hey guys, I had a request to build a reflective ship, and gotta admit, not gonna lie, but not my favorite type of ship to build, even though I built like turtles and stuff that are pretty near invincible. Reason being, the reflective type of ship, um, the whole point of the game kind of is to not get hit, right? Especially when you're doing rifts. Um, but reflective, you get hit to do any damage to your enemies. So the better you get at the game, the less effective a reflective ship build is. Um, I hope that makes sense because I fly around trying to not to get hit, and the reflective stuff only kicks in if you are getting hit. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this. Um, we had chose a gunship. If you're going to do a reflective build, you want something pretty tanky. And once again, I always like to go in first person mode, just my creature habit, I guess. Here we go. We're going to jump into 400, no relic query. And I'll explain the build at the end. I usually don't do so well if I'm talking while I'm playing, but what the heck, we're just going to see what happens to talk away through this. Yeah, why does it always remind me of a colonoscopy? I don't know. So, let's go. Let's find the biggest glob. Here's a big glob over here. Oh, yeah, one of our favorites. I kind of wasted some of my resources. You want to do that a little bit. A little bit heavy on my. I saw a very big one. We'll do that. I wasted my consumable. All I'm really doing here is kind of throwing caution to the wind. I'm not really trying to dodge too much. Even out of range of that, I just switched. Let's just get my ult back. Get this build just a couple kills to it. Let's try to get my ult back. There it is. How did we get through miles? Increased movement, I like. There's no further increased movement. I always like when it speeds things up, even though we're flying a particularly tanky, slow build. Let's get right in here. And let's go right for like kind of shut off. Maybe I'll get some chocolate. Awesome. Yes. Stormchaser missile. Tumble. A capital ship. That was fun. Everything's bouncing and splattering. Gunfire everywhere. That's a big one. Just already. Ooh, that's so close to him. Leave my. Let's go for it. Leave the crosshairs on over the line. Build up the vigilante bonus. Really? More vigilantes now. Really looking forward to the kids work. Sometimes I wonder if it converts to a minion with that for the farm. You have to get that the vigilante. What do that? Less beyond. I like the beyond from. Is that a 7? That's a 720. We could really test this thing out. Yeah. Let's go 720, test this thing out. I already used my consumables. Except the couple of damage boosters, but I really wanted to do multiple tactical beams. Oh well. That's what happens when you get heavy on it. Oh, let's get out of Yeah, he's just gonna run. Hey, you shot him on. How about that? That was fun. Railgun don't care, 720 or not. Oh, that sucks. To soften them up. Good. Big guy out there. And we got a turret on that. should finish it off, maybe. No, yes, no. A good explosion out of that. We gotta go back to oh, there's a sniper. He's on our side. I really needed that insta kill because it does not care if it's a 720 modifier or not. Oh, I should turn that off. Why did I do that? Get some orbs for our alt. Orbs for the hole. Orbs for the hole. Alt core. That's okay. And let's go in like this. And surrounded by air, should be penetrated. Great. Try to get this running gun all at once. It's easy, sort of. Easy. And back out the intestine of the galaxy. Yes, I could have said something else, but I'm trying to keep it PG-13. Alright, so explain this build and what I did. I think I'm going to go back first. Boy, I really got to clean this up. Let's go back to the golden ace here. And see what we could and could not do. So the idea, somebody asked me to build a reflective ship, so that's what I did. And I decided not to put Judgment Day mines on it just because of the way the layout was with the Stormchaser missile. I don't like to mix mines and missiles because sometimes you can blow yourself up. You can hit your own with the other mines anyway. So it's just a habit of mine. I don't mix mines and missiles. Plus, you have to have your modifiers here say both mines and missiles to get the full benefit out of it. So I either go mines or full missiles. Enough of that. Let's just go right back with the ship. This is my standard coil gun turret, 30% damage against drones, 15 extra boost speed, and one whole 50 lower. Although that never really kicked in, I guess. I was never really in any trouble at all. Even though I guess I could have tried not dodging as much, but sort of a habit. These, I know a lot of my builds, you'll see this close to 5,000, but really over 3,500 is more, just kind of overkill, so I balanced it out. This expertise with the damage reduction is kind of nice when we're going for reflective builds. And then these helping out your coiled gun and your turret. Old standby, this one here. I think I went short circuit with it because I don't really need this cooldown for play it safe. I don't even think I was using play it safe. And then we don't have a shield, so who cares? This I decided to go with a more of a reflective damage build. So this here, you're getting that, not really reflective, but that area damage for anything that's close to the beam. Here I changed up. I went more with a reflective idea. I put this, instead of getting invincible, because me personally, I don't really need that on this build very much. I went with revenge, so if I am taking damage, then when entropy turns off, boom, 300% extra. Just try to kill everything around me. And that, I guess that did kick in a little bit, even though I didn't take a whole lot of damage. And then this here is just to beef up. Well, normally it would be to beef up the, what do you call it? The missiles, but I'm not running with a cargo bay, so I don't have that 25% extra to missiles. Didn't seem to really matter now that we have dual detonation. I didn't even look at what this was on. For some reason, it says will also attack mines, which I don't even care. I probably could have put retention on this, or sustenance. I usually run with sustenance, but doesn't matter as much because we didn't have the modifier on the cargo bay. Let's go back to the hangar here and just show you what I'm talking about. That first right here, boom. We're using the Wrath of the Fallen, so we don't have that 25% that you can get wherever. I don't know, what do I have right here? Yeah, that 25% extra to missiles or secondaries. Okay, so we'll start from right from the top here on it. I usually don't put a executioner on a gunship, yeah, just because you're one shot, one kill anyway. With it, so, and it's not doubling this damage. Big whoop. Although I did have a bunch of these modifiers here on my favorite one with 20. Once again, these are the best to have as far as fully charged destabilizes for 8 seconds and 10% for each shot increases all damage dealt to the target's hull. Blah blah blah. All right, this one did most of our heavy lifting. I put non-crit on this just because it shoots so fast. It is a rapid. It's going to burn through energy fast. But if you noticed, I was jumping back and forth, and just using these whenever they were ready. If I really want to get my ult up and running when entropy's not even close to ready, then I'll use this to shoot a couple, and it powers my ult quite a bit faster by getting those instant kills on the small stuff. But there's for the big ships. Hey, we did have a big ship tumble too. That was kind of fun. Capital ship tumble due to my EMP on here. Here's the Vigilante. This is the 2020 also. So that's more for your capital ship fighting. I think I pulled these maybe for OCAR build, fighting the OCAR frigate build. But works really good too. And of course it does. All right, anyway. Yeah. My usual suspects. Sometimes, if I would have used a Stormchaser's shield here, I probably would have put the 30% back to hull to heal up. This is Stormchaser missile. It's kind of wimpy, but it does cause things to tumble, and it'll trigger some of the perks. I don't think I went over perks, but yeah, we'll go back and do perks here in a second. But this rounds off the 4-piece, and that's a Stormchaser set, which that's how you get that 800 reflective damage, everything. And you can buff this up, and I'll show you how we buffed even the 4-set bonus up even more. All right. Why did I do these 3? Well, I knew I wasn't going to be really speed running on this. And the idea, I could have done better. I got too much of a habit of switching targets too quick to kind of bounce this destabilization around from this just by nicking stuff. But so my area damage will do even more damage. But anyway, I just wanted to finish off the Vigilante set bonus. And then you leave, what you're supposed to try to do is leave your targeting kind of alone for that 6 seconds or 5 stacks, whatever. I think it takes once you get that 5 stacks, then boom, into 300 meters, you get that EMP, destabilizes. And so I think I did get that a couple of times. I just got to stop switching targets so fast. So that's why we did that. And it was just, I just thought, hey, why don't we just fit this on? It's just kind of a junk pile build anyway, if you could call any of this junk pile stuff. Anyway, Stormchaser, we did use the multi-cell. What's kind of weird about this is when you're using a multi-cell, especially on a gunship, this seems like a bad idea, but since we're constantly using our ult as soon as it's ready, then it's not that big of a problem getting energy to weapons. Could have done the tides here instead. Actually, that's probably a better way to go. Was put tides here, and then I should have put tides here, and then Stormchaser on this. Then we wouldn't have that problem at all. See how you have the huge amount to weapons, and you don't need this to the shields. Yeah. So I made a mistake, but hope you guys can follow that. This should have been tides instead, and this should have been Stormchaser instead. Anywho, just have a regular SH, not the best. That's kind of low on the, I can't get to it. Low here on the range. 6 and 12 good though. That firepower, precision, those aren't bad numbers for the attributes. This 37 4.8, one of my lower ones too. You're really looking for 5 and 40. And to round off the Stormchaser for everything too. Let's see here. This would have been pretty much the same either way. Although when I'm running the rail gun, I really like to have, or is it Together We Stand? One of the Together We Stand ones, so that the rail gun goes twice as fast. But that doesn't really matter on the gunship. Yeah, I did do something kind of odd here. We're not cloaking this time, so because cloaking takes away from getting hit and reflecting, so why cloak if you want to reflect, right? So I did blaster. Did I do blaster coil? Oh, blaster missiles. So beefed that up. Like I said, that did a lot of heavy lifting. My missiles get the bonus, and then across the board, everything gets the extra 10. Destabilized. So that's kind of cool. This gets, so that winds up, this gets 30. These get 30 from doing it that way, which is all right. I didn't mention the attribute on this one. That 5 extra alt generation, and then an alt duration. That's a great way to go, just because your coil gun turret is so powerful on this. And except when you pull a 720 a modifier, that kind of sucked. Anyway, we already went over these. My trust and true terminal velocity, just picked peripheral here for the heck of it, because that's how it all sort of has to fit in there with swapping different pieces out. And then here, tides of silencing. Reason why this is here too is because when you're trying to cram on the 4-piece, and then, the 4-piece Stormchaser, you really don't have a Stormchaser version of this. You don't have a Tides version of this. You don't have, I'm not using mines. As you saw, these missiles did good enough, and it's a gunship. I mean, we're going to use the guns most of the time anyway, right? So yeah, just tides went there. Let's kind of go back a little bit. I know I've already explained some of this, but if we go back to the perks, this isn't reflecting. This is just, you're not getting damage when you're boosting. Close call I never use. We don't have a shield. This is useless most of the time. Oh, I did put down Time Warrior, even though I didn't have anything else to really keep me alive. I think this play it safe does reflect too. If it bounces off of play it safe, you're still doing damage. But just in case, we decided not to use that and went with let's shoot more faster. Crit happens. Was sort of tempted to use this, but we don't have a shield. I could have used a Stormchaser sealed, but it makes it really weird to try to fit other things on the build. And then, yeah, use a Stormchaser, switch over to a Judgment Day, and then you have missiles. And yeah, I already mentioned that. Don't like doing that. Here, crit happens, still one of the best. And we have like 2 and 2, so that doesn't really matter. Here's a big difference though. Since we're reflecting, why not get 30% more reflection? Just reflect. That's what the build's made for, right? Just reflecting. So we're going to pick this instead, even though exploitation, because we're using EMP and we're using the EMP missile, this probably would have been a better choice. But I went with, reflection build. Let's stick with a theme, right? All right. Yeah, not really a secondary missile type of build either. This here, we want that ult up and running. That's pretty much the best weapon the gunship has. So let's keep that up and running as much as possible. The armor thing, no, not a big deal because we're killing so fast. Well, we probably could have killed faster, but and then doing it this way, we did build to generate critical hits, so we could have used that, but it wouldn't even come close to what this generates with the SH shield. SH8495, whatever number is. I was really tempted to use this to kind of go with that reflective theme. But since we're not using the shield, we're using SH, this doesn't have a way of kicking in because you have no shield capacity. Overkill, that ult is running faster and running so much. You wouldn't see this very often in the Rift. And then Symphony of Destruction. That's my go-to one. Get those critical hits, get those explosions. And we saw that kick in a few times again too. Some things I would definitely change. Let's just go over here. There are, if you want to stick with like hardcore reflective, like quantum and tangular, reflective damage done to your target itself is increased by 30%. So this would have been a good way to go, except I'm still dodging too much. So that I did beat it with using this, but I don't know. I just like the tactical beam instead and the EMP instead. What else? There was another way to beef up. Oh yeah, front shield generator. If you want to reflect even more, that's for people who like to fly really defensively. But I like to break out the big guns instead. But this, I could even had more reflection. Oh, I think I mentioned this already. The other thing I could have done too is not use this, but it feels really wimpy without it. And then used, oh, that doesn't even have it. Where was it? Here we go. Blightmonger has one. I'd switch that up. See that 70%? 70% of the energy damage back to the attacker's own shields. Yeah, swap that out. Put that on a Stormchaser build instead. And if you really want to max out reflection, I mean, there's another source of reflection. But I don't really recommend that. So yeah, I know I've talked about all kinds of different things. Like I said, not my typical type of build, because as you get better at the game, you should be getting hit less, right? And build more aggressively, because you start weaning yourself off of not necessarily weaning yourself off of reflection, but sacrificing some of the defense and the damage reduction, or ignoring for more firepower. And I've mentioned many times on how to do that in the past, so I won't go over all that again. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, this isn't something my particular type of preference. I did have someone request, hey, they sent me a message, said, hey, why don't you make a reflective build? So there you go. There's your reflective build. I hope you guys enjoy that, and get out there and throw me another request. Maybe I'll build something new and different and weird and see if we can get it to work. All right, later.